The night is quiet. It settles over the world like a soft blanket, muffling the sounds of the day. The trees breathe slowly, their leaves rustling with a gentle sigh that you might mistake for the wind. In the distance, a small light moves, far away and lonely. It could be a car on a distant highway, or a porch light on a farm you cannot see. This is the kind of night that lets fear grow. It is not the loud, sudden fright of a jump scare. It is a slow burn dread, a quiet unease that settles deep in your bones. Here are 3 true stories. They are not grand tales of monsters or ghosts. They came from people who lived them, ordinary people like you. These are the stories that are born in the silence. They are the whispers you hear when you are alone in the dark. I moved into the old house in late fall. The air had a crisp chill to it. Leaves turned to brilliant orange, then deep red as they fell. The house sat at the end of a long, thin gravel road, almost swallowed by the forest. Pine trees leaned over the roof. Pine needles dusted the shingles. The house had been empty for years. Inside, the rooms felt cold and silent. A few sparse neighbors muttered strange things. They spoke in low tones about odd lights and strange sounds. I didn't think much of it at the time. I thought I could fix the place up. I thought I could live alone. The first night, I heard knocks. They were not loud or aggressive, just slow, soft knocks at the back door. Thump, thump, thump. I got up and walked through the quiet house to the kitchen. I checked the peephole. No one stood on the small wooden porch. The night air hit me, cold and still. The lock was new, the heavy deadbolt I had installed. The door had been securely closed. I told myself it was the wind, or a branch from the old pines. The house was old. It made noises as it settled. The next day, I found muddy footprints near the foundation. They were small, smaller than my own, strangely shaped. Not from a deer, not human, not like my boot prints. They looked delicate. I followed them until they vanished into a thick mat of pine needles. A quiet warning I ignored. That week, the knocks returned, faster and more insistent, always at night, as I tried to sleep. One night, the knocking changed. It moved. It became a soft, rhythmic tapping at my second-floor bedroom window. I sat up in bed, heart pounding, and listened. The tapping continued. I slowly moved to the window and looked out into the black yard. The glass was cold against my hand, and it was wet, covered in tiny droplets, but only in one spot. Something had breathed on it. A warm breath left a fogged circle on the cold pane. If you're still here listening, maybe you enjoy the dark. Don't forget to like this video. It helps others find these stories. The stories you are about to hear happened to people who thought they were safe. I had camped alone many times before. It was my escape, my way of connecting with something real and quiet. This time, I chose a spot by a river I knew well. The stars were bright, scattered like spilled salt. I set my small tent near tall trees. I built a small, contained fire. I cooked a simple meal. I felt safe. I felt at peace. Around midnight, a sound pulled me from a light sleep. The moon was a thin, silver crescent. I heard a crunch near my tent. A single sharp sound. Someone or something had stepped on the dry leaves. I kept perfectly still, my ears straining. For a moment, only the slow song of the river. Then it came again, closer. Another soft crunch. Probably a raccoon, I told myself. Then I saw a shadow pass across the wall of my tent. Long and thin, deliberate, not animal-like. It had the distinct shape of a man. Tall, slender. My heart pounded. I held my breath and reached for the zipper. I unzipped just a little. The fire had burned down to low, glowing embers. Far across the river, a light blinked on and off. On my side, near the trees, a dark shape stood very, very still. I couldn't make out details. Only a silhouette, a void in the darkness. I kicked the side of the tent to startle it, to make it run, but the shape did not move. It did not flinch. It remained perfectly still. My voice was a dry whisper. "Hello?" The darkness swallowed my word. No answer. I zipped the tent closed, the sound unnaturally loud. The shadow stayed. It did not step away. It simply watched my tent for a very long time. I lay rigid for hours, controlling each breath. Then a soft scraping at the base of the tent, right where my head was. Scrape. Pause. Scrape. It kept time with my breathing. I switched on my flashlight and shone it at the flap, then swept the perimeter. The light hit nothing. The shape was gone. The scraping had stopped. I used to work late shifts at a warehouse on the edge of town. I drove home the same empty stretch every night. There was an old, low bridge, concrete and steel, crossing a small dark creek. I passed under it nightly, around 2 in the morning. Headlights cut a bright path, then darkness again. One night, a strange clunking noise. I pulled over just past the underpass. The engine was quiet. Only the creek, and something else. A low, humming sound from beneath the bridge. I turned on the hazards and walked under with my phone light. The air was cold and damp. The concrete smelled of old water and moss. And then I saw him, a man sitting with his back against the far wall. He had no coat, no shoes. He sat there humming that same low, monotonous tune. Then I saw his head tilted at an unnatural angle. He did not seem to be breathing. "Hey," I said, my voice loud in the enclosed space. "Are you okay?" The humming stopped. He turned his head slowly to face me. His face was clear in the bright beam. He had no eyes. Where eyes should be, there were smooth, dark hollows, shining like wet, polished stones. I stumbled back. A bottle clinked. He stood up without effort, a soft, dry sound, like cloth on stone. Then he started walking toward me, slow, even, deliberate. I ran. I scrambled into my car, hands shaking on the key. I locked the doors and sped away. I did not look in my rearview mirror. In daylight, no one beneath it. No bottles, no footprints, only the water and the same low hum. Tell me in the comments, what would you have done in that situation? Real fear. At the end of that night, I learned to watch the small, distant lights a little longer, to pay more attention to the quiet hummings you hear in empty places. Sometimes, people meet things that have no eyes, and sometimes they wait by the side of the road, watching lonely cars pass in the deep of the night. I do not go back to that bridge. I don't need to. I know what's there. It lives in the quiet moments, in the dark spaces, a reminder that some things once seen can never be unseen. That cold, creeping dread. It is not something from a movie. It is a primal instinct, a warning from a part of our brain that remembers older nights. These stories are whispers from the dark, carried on the wind, telling us to be careful, to listen to our instincts. If you crave more real horror, subscribe to Night Whispers. Real fear, real stories. If you crave more real horror, subscribe to Night Whispers. Real fear, real stories.